Hello, everyone.
Hello, welcome back to the Book Brood, and today we're going to bring you our first tag in quite a while.
Yes, and we were not tagged, but Cheyenne from Novel Insights said that anyone who wants to do it can consider themselves tagged. So here we are.
This seemed like a fun one. This was the staying at home tag, which is themed perfectly for the times and
COVID-19
everything.
pandemic. Yes. And this was originally done by Princess of Paperback, and we will link both of those channels down below.
Yeah, so the first item in this tag was lying in bed, something you read in one day.
Yes, in one sitting or one day. What I'm going to use for this one is Tribe on Homecoming and Belonging by Sebastian Junger. I think it's Junger. I loved this book. It was small and compelling. It was nonfiction, but it actually provoked a pretty strong emotional response from me. I remember getting very emotional the first time I read it, and I really enjoyed it.
Right on, yeah. That one, I read that one a while ago, but...
The first time, yeah.
Okay.
I've read it twice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right, so I do almost complete audiobooking now since we did our downsize. I got rid of pretty much all my books. So I can do a lot of audiobooks in one day with working from home. If I don't have meetings, I can just listen to an audiobook straight through.
Yeah.
So a lot of romance that I can just blow through those. The one physical book that I have read in one day, I've mentioned this one quite often, was Room by Emma Donoghue. That one just sucked me in with, even though the setting was so small scale for such a big part of that book, it was very much, I needed to know what was going to happen next, and so just plugged through that entire thing.
I remember that. You got really sucked into that one.
I would have stayed up all night to read that, but this is the only time this has happened. It was like 12 something at night. And the lines just went double on the page, and no matter how much I blinked or rubbed my eyes, it wouldn't go back. And so I was like, all right, well, obviously it's just telling me I need to go to bed.
Yeah, and then he went straight back to it first thing in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Question number 2.
Is snacking a guilty pleasure? And like Cheyenne was saying in her own video, you shouldn't feel guilty about the things that bring you pleasure.
Right.
So, yeah, that, go ahead.
So guilty pleasure can have multiple meanings. I think it's different for each person. But the way I took it, and I think you did too, is I think what we defined as guilty pleasure is books that we return to over and over again, and just, at least for me personally, like if I'm having a bad day or if I need something that I know will cheer me up, then I return to these books.
Right.
Was that?
The same, yeah. One book that stood out for me was Christmas from Hell by R.L. Matthewson, and that's part of the Neighbor from Hell series. And then really just about any of the Immortal Guardians books I can hop into and enjoy those.
Yeah. I listed 3, but I'm like iffy on the second one because I've only read it 3 times. But the first 2, this is a true guilty pleasure. Like on any level that you like any definition of guilty pleasure, I feel like this fits for. But I love this book, especially the first one. Total guilty pleasure. Also, The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I have read this book probably 5-6 times. I just love it so much. And then Kings of the Wild, which is just so funny. That's by Nicholas Eames. And especially if I'm in a bad mood and need to giggle, that's such a great one.
Yeah, great one for that, definitely.
Yeah.
Next is Netflix, a series you want to start.
Yes. So this one's difficult for me personally right now because I actually am gravitating towards standalones mostly. I want to read standalones. I don't want to get sucked into a series right now. But the one I did choose was I am ready to start Harry Potter with the kids. I am really looking forward to this. I tried reading it to them a couple of years ago and they just weren't ready. But we're almost done with a series of unfortunate events, and I think they're ready for Harry Potter.
I think so. They sat through me trudging through the Lord of the Rings with them, so I think Harry Potter they'll do just fine with. This, I just kind of put on a few things that have been on my radar. The Expanse series, my best friends read through, I think at least the ones that have been published. I don't know if it's still ongoing, and keeps telling me to read those. The Baroque series by Neil Stevenson, so that's Quicksilver. Yeah, I can't remember the names of the other ones. I used to own them all in hardback, but never got to them. Then Nocturne Falls series by Kristen Painter. Those are just lighthearted urban fantasy. It's like an urban fantasy town that masquerades as this always Halloween town. So you know, all the preternatural creatures can hide out in the open.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is definitely a lot harder to do than if we had all of our physical books. I would have had like 12 series to pull off my shelf.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like I had a ton, but yeah. That's a video and discussion topic for another time.
All right, Deep Clean on your TBR forever.
Yes. So along the same lines, we don't have a physical TBR anymore. We don't have physical books anymore for the most part. But I have had A Little Life by Hanya Yanagari. I butchered that. That's terrible. We'll put it down here or something.
Angahara? My attempt.
Yeah. But this was going around BookTube and it was everyone's favorite book of the year before last, maybe. And I bought it and I haven't started it because I haven't been in the emotional place because it's supposed to be incredibly heart-wrenching.
Yeah. So for this one, one that's been on my to be read for a long, long time is Dune Messiah. Dune is probably my favorite just book in general for a multitude of reasons, but I've never read any of the sequels. So I eventually do want to get into the sequels that were written by Frank Herbert. Not so much the sequels that were written by Brian Herbert, but that's another topic in general. And as well, on a more lighthearted note, Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. It's one of the last books of hers I have to read, except I guess Sandition too, but I don't know if she actually finished that one or not. I know they made a TV series out of it recently, but according to the Jane Austen sites that I follow on the interwebs, it wasn't received very well.
The TV series?
The TV series, yeah.
Nice.
All right. Next is Animal Crossing, book you recently bought because of hype.
Yeah, so again, we haven't really been buying books. So this one was a bit difficult for me, but I did pick this up at a used bookstore a few months ago before the pandemic. And this is The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. And I think this was really popular several years ago. It won the 2013 Man Booker Prize, and a lot of people were talking about it. And I am currently slowly making my way through this and loving it. So thank you, BookTube.
All right. The most recent one I bought, just in general, would be The Traitor Queen by Danielle L. Jensen. That was just more hype on my part. The first one left off on a huge cliffhanger, and I was ready to move on right away, but it wasn't published yet. So as soon as that dropped, I was there. I snatched that up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
The next book is Productivity, a book that had an impact on you or made an impression.
Or that you learned something from,
yes,
right?
or that you learned something from, yes.
Right. I might have misinterpreted that one. It was worded confusingly. because I went with a couple of Stephen Hawking books that I read a year ago. That was The Grand Design and Brief Answers to Big Questions. And both of those were fascinating. And I feel like I learned a lot from.
Nice. Yeah. I put the book that I'm actually reading right now, which is The Late Homecoming, a Hmong family memoir by Cao Kaylee Yang. This is a story about the Hmong people and how they were essentially chased out of Laos after the end of the Vietnam War because there was a war going on in Laos at the same time that the CIA had a hand in. And so this is following a family as they're a very young family too, as they're escaping out of Laos and through Thailand and eventually with the intention of trying to get to the United States. And I'm just a few chapters into it, but I can already tell this is going to be a rough ride.
Yeah.
It's going to have an impact, definitely. All right, the next one is Facetime, a book you were gifted.
So this one is so funny because nobody buys me books because I have a really weird particular type of reading. I guess I'm such a mood reader, and if I don't want to read the book, I'm not going to read the book. But I did get an unsolicited book in the mail with a Goodreads win when I won a Goodreads book, and I've never heard of this one, so it was a gift. But this is Post-Humorous Memoirs of Braz, Cuba by Machado de Assis. And I have no idea what this is. I know it's a translated novel, and it's set in South America. That's all I know. But this was gifted to me, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's an advanced release copy, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right on. I said Arpeggio Blue Steel because when Heidi was making, Volume 10 specifically, when Heidi was making some kind of book outlet or book depository order, she picked up the most recent volume for me. So
I feel like I'm the one in the family
thankful.
that usually buys the books.
Well,
buys too many books.
we don't gift each other much either, and our family doesn't know what kind of specific books, like you were saying, to gift us. So if they gift us anything, it's just usually cash.
Right.
So
if we want something, we
pretty much just
buy it for ourselves. Like even around the holidays or anything like that, we just choose what we want. It's just easier that way. Then you don't get things you don't actually want.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We definitely don't. We know that we love each other, and we don't need to
shower each other with
random gifts.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, and then self-care, something done differently to look after yourself lately.
Yeah. So I went with a, I don't know, more serious one, I guess. I said quit drinking because I feel like for the first month and a half of the lockdown of the pandemic, it was kind of like, woohoo, nobody has to go anywhere, and also like a lot of stress, right? And the weekend mentality mixed with the stress of the pandemic created a situation where I was drinking far too much. And when it turned out this pandemic is not going anywhere, it was kind of a wake-up call of like, okay, you need to get back in like a sense of normalcy. Like it's not just Saturday every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, quit drinking and feel a lot better. So
Definitely, right on. Yeah, I took a much more lighthearted approach on this one. I said I bought myself a big pack of colored pencils and a sketchbook.
Yeah.
Because I started dabbling in trying to draw manga. I'm still just on straightforward headshots, you know.
It's cool though. Yeah.
It's interesting. It's, you know, I've never considered myself an artist in that kind of fashion before, so it's fun to do that. It's something to do with my hands while reading an audiobook. So.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right, and the last one is name a book coming out soon.
Yeah, so I'm not really in the know of like new releases or anything, but I do know that Marie Rukowski, who wrote the Winner's Curse, the Winner's Cycle, or whatever trilogy, that I really enjoyed about like 5 years ago or something like that. I know that she's got a new book coming out at some point in 2020. I'm not sure if it's already out or if it's coming out later in the summer. But I'm excited about that because I did like her trilogy.
Yeah, I remember you really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I am even more not in the know on this. And I just said I am sure that Laurel K. Hamilton has another book coming out here soon. I can almost just guarantee it without even having to look that
Or
up.
Stephen King.
So, or Stephen King. Yeah.
Or,
there you go. Or J.D. Robb.
Yep,
Who I
exactly.
learned recently is just Nora Roberts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny. Nice.
So, good for her. Good for all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That
Yeah.
was the stay-at-home
Stay-at-home.
tag, and that was our responses to that.
Heck yeah.
So I can't think of anyone to tag.
No, if you see this and you want to do this tag, consider yourself tagged. But otherwise, we hope you're all doing well in this terrifying time. And we'll see you again soon.
Yeah. See you later.